to welcome everyone to this event. My name is Dr. Veronica Honeycutt. I'm the CEO of the Honeycutt Foundation. Our event today is an entrepreneurial journey and how to start a business. Okay?
Lord, we come to you. We thank you for who you are. We thank you for waking us up this morning, clothing us in our right minds. Thank you for Dr. Honeycutt and Mary and their team and putting this together. Lord, we thank you for everyone who had the heart and mind to come here. And we ask that you provide them with what they need, at least the steps to get to the next level and what you have for them. We ask that you bless this day. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So, as I said, I'm Dr. Honeycutt, and the Honeycutt Foundation has been in business since 2015. I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. And what we have done are a number of activities, including workshops on topics that people really don't want to talk about, but they need to. We have worked with educational systems. My background is that I spent 42 years as a teacher and an administrator at City College of San Francisco, 25 years as adjunct faculty at Skyline College, 3 years as a teacher and originator of one of the first Black Studies programs in the San Francisco Unified School District. And I have volunteered in one capacity or another all of my life and enjoyed every single moment of it. And the good Lord, the divine, always lets me know that the work that we have done in the past has not been in vain. Today, there's a young lady here by the name of Frankie, who used to be one of my students, and she's right here. I want her to, you can see her, because from time to time people will come back and say to me, I heard what you said, I listened, I may not have done anything at that particular time, but I want you to know that I am paying attention now. This particular young lady who was talking to me said, I'm at the University of San Francisco working on my master's. She finished that master's and she said, now at 63 years of age, I'm working on my doctorate. But that's the divine coming back to me to let me know. Today it was you, Frankie, he sent you to let me know that you listened. You listened to him, more importantly. That's the main thing, you gotta listen to him. And then you try to do the very best you can to make, to do what he's calling you to do. Do what he wants you to do, what he wills you to do, and everything is gonna be all right. Now, when I say that, the path he opens up for you is wonderful. But will you have troubles? You patient. Okay? You're going to have those difficulties that you're going to have to deal with. The good thing is he's there for you. All you have to do is pray. So, I want to introduce the two members of the Honeycutt Foundation team. One is that wonderful woman over there, Mary Rivers, whom you met when you came through the door. Mary's been with us for a very, very long time, and we love her dearly. The other gentleman that does a lot of work with us is Dr. Joe Canton, who is a former educator and businessman, was an administrator down in Santa Ana, California, way back in the day when they didn't hire a lot of folks of color, and he did a lot of trailblazing, so he cannot be with us today, but he too is an active member of the Honeycutt Foundation. And then we have wonderful people like Commissioner Linda Richardson, who's sitting right here. My sis has been with us for a long time. We do a lot of work in the community. I'm the chair of the Citizens Advisory Committee for the Shipyard in Candlestick Park. And so therefore, there are things, we're doing a lot of things to try to bring housing and to make life better for people, okay, in this community and in the city and county of San Francisco. So that's enough about me. I want to thank you for being here, okay, but I fully believe that people who are destined to be here are here. And then if you would share the information that you learned with other people, that would be wonderful. Since we have a small audience, I would like to, if any of you don't mind, could you introduce yourself? Now, you look very familiar to me. You, my dear lady. You're not sure why? Okay, well, maybe I'm just, people are just looking familiar to me today. Okay. You know you have as an entrepreneur.
I am a salon owner that is currently not owning.
Okay, well, then
I just moved to Georgia. I lived in Georgia for some years and I just moved back.
it's fantastic.
So I left my business and then started going.
That's fantastic. I'm so glad you're here. Okay. And then Frankie? Just a little bit.
Could people turn around and face the camera?
Hi, I'm Frankie Watson, and I saw Miss Honeycutt's name come across my email, and I couldn't believe it. So I'm so ecstatic right now and excited and happy to be here. And what I've been doing, I guess, the last 2 years is exploring my inner being as well as the planet, and just traveling. I just came back from Tanzania a couple of years ago, and Ecuador in 2018, and I'm just living my bliss.
I'll be right back. And yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Ruben Larry. San Francisco native. Originally from Brooklyn. San Francisco Coast. Basically looking to start a barbecue business. I'm sure that's a barbecue.
Oh, barbecue business.
I'm just trying to go the road, see what it takes to really start my idea of the house.
That's in the right place. Thank you, sir. Hi.
Okay. Hi, I'm Shalene Loveton. We are newlyweds here. And I just wanted to, as soon as I saw the flyer with your big smile on it, I said, oh my gosh, this is Honeycutt. I have to see what's going on to support. We live in the Mission Rock area, so we just wanted to show our support and just be here for you and see what it has to offer. I want everyone to be successful in whatever endeavors that they have, and just knowing you or other faculty members, I'm sure it will be successful.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Hello, my name is Nachi Trufant, and I am a homeowner here and have been in California for over 55 years. I really love this place. It's my home because I'm from Cleveland, Ohio. I had to escape from there. It's too cold. But anyway, I have a military background and served in the Marine Corps, Santa Ana, for 4 years. And I'm just really grateful to be here. I contribute from time to time by either going to an event or either volunteering at an event. And this is a very wonderful place, and spiritually, I'd like to say, but not religiously, that we are blessed to have the community and the leadership of people like Dr. Honeycutt. And I really thank you so very much. And I solemnly promise that I'm going to do better getting out. But right now, I have a lot of allergies going on. Not a cold, so if you hear me coughing, it's not a cold or COVID or anything like that. So I had to walk all the way around because I couldn't find the entrance. So I think that would be a plus to get people out, because I saw some people driving and they see the windows, they see the gates closed, and I was trying to tell them to able to walk around like I did, but thank you so very much.
Thank you. All right, and I'm mindful of our time and Erica's time. So I just wanted to, could you, Commissioner Richardson, and then Marcus, and then I'm going to introduce Erica.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. My name is Linda Kadiki Richardson, and I just wanted, by way of introduction, just talk about Dr. Veronica Honeycutt and the Honeycutt Foundation. I have had the privilege to work with Dr. Honeycutt for decades. I am a long-time resident of Lady Hunters Point. My expertise is land use planning and development. I spent years in helping to plan Baby, India Basin, and Treasure Island, you name that. Dr. Honeycutt has been an asset in virtually everything that I've done in the Bayview, in the citywide. She's highly regarded, a woman, highly educated. Our goal is to help to look at how we can continue to revitalize not just the Bayview, not just the African American community. Our workshops are very, very informative, and it's going to be, on video, and people will be able to distribute that. This woman's goal and passion in life, even after she retired, is to continue to work with the youth and their development now, helping people to bring experts. How can they better themselves financially and wealth-wise? That's the goal that we have been here, and we wear so many hats. In fact, I'm here today. I will be representing her in another event that is simultaneously happening even at this time. So I'm honored to be here, and this is just, yes, we have the audience here, but there are so many ways that Dr. Monica is trying to be able to help our community grow. And so she has all these activities beyond what you see here today. So keep her on the radar, and thank you all for being here. God bless you all.
Thanks. And then finally, the wonderful Marcus Tart.
Let's see, is it still morning? Yeah, still morning. Good morning, everyone. Marcus Tart, I'm the Center Director of Renaissance Entrepreneurship Center. We're a regional organization, so we're right here in Bayview. We have an office right upstairs there. We have another office right down the street. Small incubators. We help people start and grow businesses. Have it be here. Everything they say about this woman is true.
And I don't know if you're still working with the Renaissance Entrepreneur, yes you are, and consulted with the Renaissance Entrepreneurship Center. She's done that for over 12 years. She started as a student in the 12-week business planning class, and after 6 weeks she had a profound realization about the transformative power of sharing business practices with individuals in the community who were involved in illegal activities, such as selling drugs as a means to earn money. She recognized that many of these individuals possessed valuable skills and ingenuity that, if directed towards legal and positive ventures, could help them turn their lives around and move them from poverty to prosperity. Simultaneously, this is a Renaissance woman, while participating in the Renaissance business programs, Erica studied American Studies and Urban Development at UC Berkeley. She holds a certification with the National Foundation for Teaching Entrepreneurship. She completed a fellowship program with Yerba Buena Center of the Arts, YPCA, during COVID, where she and her husband curated an art show that highlighted the work of artists who were incarcerated. More recently, she completed the San Francisco Success Center's Leadership Academy. If I told you everything there was to hear about Erica, I would be here for the next 30 minutes. So I'm gonna have to condense this, folks. I hate doing this, but I'm gonna have to do this. In 2009, in the face of adversity and the tragic loss of her husband, Erica found herself navigating the challenges of raising two young children, ages 5 and 7 years old. Struggle to afford clothes for their ever-growing bodies was a constant concern. Determined to provide for her family and turn their difficult circumstances around, she tapped into her entrepreneurial spirit and resourcefulness. Erica ventured into the world of retail and established her children's boutique at the prestigious downtown San Francisco Crocker Galleria. She found financial stability and a sense of empowerment and fulfillment. Okay, very good. So, it is my great honor to introduce Erica Scott to you today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Honeycutt. And I just want to take a moment to acknowledge Dr. Honeycutt and the impact that she's had on so many lives. And did I hear you say you're starting a business, sir? And what was your field? Barbecue. Okay, good. Okay. So what I'm going to suggest, because the people and the communities that Dr. Honeycutt has impacted, I guess haven't been approached in a way that this room is not filled. And so my goal, and just put my entrepreneur hat on, because there's tons of challenges that go along with being an entrepreneur. What do? We see a problem and then we create an opportunity. So this is an opportunity for the next time that Dr. Honeycutt hosts anything, that we all rally behind her and get the room filled, and not just for the sake of bodies and numbers, but because of what she has to offer, her experience, her connections, just who she is as a person. People really, really need to be connected to those resources and that information. So Dr. Honeycutt, I am saying this publicly, and we are on video, that we are going to do everything we can to support the Honeycutt Foundation. Okay? So she was reading my bio, and I was like, okay, don't say much more because that's what I want to talk about. So I am generally, I'm a teacher. I teacher at heart, just like to share information. So when Dr. Honeycutt and LaShawn Walker reached out to me to speak today, and I saw the topic is you need to start a business. Even though I've been in the world of entrepreneurship, that's my industry, people call me a serial entrepreneur, that still really, really scared me to tell someone that they should start a business. Because normally when I teach, I'm teaching to people who are already interested or already have the mindset. But just to say, you need to start a business, that's a big deal. So one of the people I used to work for, we were headed to a meeting together. And he told me, he said, pay attention, because see if you can pick up on some information. Because whenever there's a meeting, there's always a discussion before the meeting. And then there's a discussion after the meeting. So everybody is not privy to those meetings before and after. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to tell you a little bit about the meeting before this meeting. So Dr. Honeycutt and her team and our panel, we were all on a Zoom, and Dr. Honeycutt was kind of going through the logistics of what would happen today. And in the back of my mind, I just couldn't wait, so I just blurted out, and I said, Dr. Honeycutt, what am I supposed to talk about? Like, what do you mean you need to start a business? Like I said, that was just like really a heavy feat, basically. And so it seemed to be really challenging, like I said, to tell somebody they need to start a business. So she said, well, just talk about your journey. You know, so like I said, as a teacher, usually I have some kind of curriculum or information that I'm specific to share, but today it's really, I'm talking about my journey. And so I'm going to rewind a little bit, and I'll talk about a time where I work with youth at the LL Hutch Community Center. And I was the new program director. And it was a thriving facility, lots of kids, adults, a great place for people to come in and feel safe. And it was really infamous for its basketball gym. So we had most of all the high school young men and a lot of young black men in the gym regularly. So now as my role as the program director, one day we had a staff meeting. And I told them, I said, you know what? I've been here a little bit, talking to some of the kids, I'm talking to some parents, I'm even talking to counselors and principals. And I said, it's great these kids are here and I'm glad they feel safe and they're thriving in that basketball gym. But a lot of them are failing school right now. So, you know, what are we gonna do about that? And I'm in a staff and most of them are former basketball players or they're coaches, you know, they're real athletic, but they're also professionals working with youth. So I said, I need them on my side of the building, the academic side, the tutoring, and then of course I had a business program. So the other staff members, they were like, oh, Erica, they're not coming here for that. They're coming here to play basketball, you know? And I was like, okay. So I looked around the room and I said, you know what? Most of us here, our kids are in private school. And that says to me that we care about the education and the exposure of our kids. So we have a responsibility to do the same for everybody else who comes into this building. Now, for whatever reason, maybe their parents didn't have the means or just didn't have the opportunities or whatever the case for their kids not to be in private school and for academics to really, really be a priority. I said, this is what we have to do for our kids. So I said, I'm gonna propose this. Most of the kids who come in here usually come at least 4 to 5 days a week. So at least one day a week, they should have to come over to the side and get some support academically, tutoring, something to support their efforts beyond athletics. So we finally got them to agree. And we started off with saying, okay, you can be a part of Erica's business class. They weren't that excited, but it was a little more exciting than saying going and joining an English class. So they would come to my class very reluctantly. I mean, really dreading it every single time. And I just kind of learned to ignore that because I knew it was just important for them to learn it. So they did everything I do with all my business classes. They wrote business plans, they did business presentations, they did what they needed to do because I know they could. And I just forced them to rise to the occasion. So this was about April, May, they finished the first business program. And then I would say like maybe May or June, later May, June, one of my students, Michael, he came into my office and he just gave me a big hug. So I said, what do you want? You know, and he said, so his business with a group, it was about 4 or 5 of them. This was in 2010. And again, they had the ingenuity back then. Their business was organic soap and dishwashing liquid. So they did the research, they connected with a manufacturer, and they sold these products. And so he told me he used his business presentation for his end of the year science program. Not only did he get an A with the presentation, the principal asked him to present his plan before the whole school. And he had never been acknowledged academically. So I said, so what does that mean? He said, I said, no, I know you know. So it was just to show, you know, the significance of us making the rise to the occasion. Again, me tapping into something that's interesting to them, which was business. And then on top of that, we got an acknowledgement for the work we were doing with young black men in our community. And the San Francisco Unified School District came over, gave us a new grant, and acknowledged the students. And I'm saying all this to say because one of the presenters of the award that we got, he talked to the young men, and he told them, it's easy to skate by. It's easy to be comfortable. do what's challenging. So you learn who you are, you learn how resilient you are, you learn how other people will show up for you. You'll learn how God will show up for you, because that's what I've had to learn as an entrepreneur. So going back to, you need to start a business. It all makes sense to me because it is a challenge. But that's what we're here for. We're here to challenge ourselves. We're here to take a leap of faith. And we're here to prove to ourselves and to others that we can go beyond just what might be easy. So, like I said, being an entrepreneur is nowhere near easy, but it is worth it, as Dr. Honeycutt said. So, my entrepreneur journey started when I was about 7 years old. I still remember to this day, my mom got a notification in the mail that she had received the approval from the state of California to operate her nonprofit business. So she was excited, so we were excited, and we all went to work. She opened an academic program for preschoolers and their parents. And the reason I say I started work at 7 was because my sister and I were her first teachers. We would all get to the preschool at about 6 in the morning. We would read to the 2, 3, 4-year-olds, and then we would go to school, and then we would come back, and then we were back on schedule. So, you know, I've been teaching, I've been working, and knowing what it's like to live in an entrepreneurial household basically my whole life. In addition to entrepreneurship, social justice and advocacy, that also came like second nature to me. And my mom, as an entrepreneur, like I said, she worked in education, and she had a big heart. And if a parent told her the right thing at the right time, she didn't charge tuition. So, as an entrepreneur, consultant, teacher now, I get that all the time, where people are just afraid or don't feel confident as it relates to pricing and charging, and not knowing that if you don't, then you won't even have the business that you want to start. You won't have the business. You won't be able to meet your own personal needs. And so saying that, depending on where my mother was with the business, we too sometimes went to public school or private school, depending on what the finances were like. So, saying that, it's important to be socially concerned, but at the same time, understanding business is business. And even knowing nonprofit, a lot of people in our communities are natural givers, and they see a neighbor who needs groceries, so you go in your own money and you go and buy groceries for your neighbor. That kind of thing comes naturally. But it's also important to know that nonprofit is also a business. A lot of the professional athletic programs, the NBA, the NFL, they all started as nonprofits, and we all know those are billion-dollar entities. So just being a nonprofit doesn't automatically always say that you have to be poor and you can't sustain your business, you can't sustain your family. So there's just a lot of myths that I've learned, and again, that I also like to share as someone who's been in entrepreneurship for a really long time. So tying in advocacy and entrepreneurship has always been something, like I said, it came naturally to me. And I brought up the aspect of public versus private schools. And of course, we know our public school system is excellent, as well as private schools. It just depends on what's going on in the classroom or in that particular school. But I just noticed that for public school, you have to really, really be engaged. You have to fight, basically, to get the education that comes so easily to other people. There was a time, like I said, we transitioned from private school to public school, and my mother went to enroll my sister and I in a public school, and they automatically put us in a certain class. And when you see most of the class, most of the school, it was predominantly African-American kids. And as we were walking out, we noticed some white kids who were coming from downstairs, from upstairs, downstairs. And it was just really obvious, you know. So my mom, she's like, oh, where are you guys going? Because they look the same age as my sister and I. And they said, oh, our classroom is upstairs. So they said, well, what classroom is that? And they said, oh, the gifted class. So my mother marched right back around, and we went back to the office. And she said, can you tell us about the gifted class? And everybody in the administrative office looked like, oh no, you know. So she said, well, what's the gifted class? I want my girls in the gifted class. So they said, oh, they have to test, they have to be acknowledged to be in there. We can't just enroll. She said, test them. I don't want you to give them anything they don't deserve. Test them. So we tested and we ended up in the gifted classes, but it just wasn't automatic. And so that's why I say the difference of most of the time with private and public school. But saying that to say, I remember being in the 4th grade, and I liked school, and I liked studying, and I liked being good in class. Like, that mattered to me. When I seen kids fooling around, I was like nervous, you know. So I talked to one of my teachers, and I told her, I said, you know what? The kids are in the back of the class. Now, mind you, I'm in the 4th grade, probably 8 years old. I said, they're fooling around and they're not paying attention. If you put me in the back, I'll do my work. Put them in the front so they can see you, you can see them, and then they'll really, really do their work. And she told me, Erica, you're not going to tell me how to run my class. You know? But I just noticed how they were being ignored. And I was the one being paid attention to, but I was gonna do my work, you know. So, like I said, it was just obvious to me, like something here is just not right. So that's always been a part of everything that I do. So, years later, now I'm in college, and I didn't live on campus. I lived at home in San Francisco, and I commuted to Berkeley. And I would travel between my house and, is anybody familiar with San Francisco and the Fillmore area? Yeah, okay. So I made a point to go from my house and make sure I walked down McAllister Street, which was Ella Hill Hutch, Virgos. It was just like where people were hanging out, and it was just like exciting to me. I wanted to see what was going on and who was hanging outside and all that kind of stuff. So on my journeys every day, I would, like I said, walk from my house through there, then the BART station, and then I'm on campus. And I'm at UC Berkeley, a beautiful campus just to look at and just to be on. But being in those classrooms and getting that information and learning, about the world, and so much going on, I started to feel the impact of what was going on in our community. And I said to myself, how can I bring the information that I'm learning to my community? Because now we're getting older now. We're 18, 19, and now people are going to jail, people are getting shot, people are dying, we're going to funerals. It's just really bad. And here I have this privilege of being able to go over to this amazing campus. So with that in the back of my mind, at the same time I'm working part-time at a hair salon for an entrepreneur, a lady who taught me a lot, and I was surrounded by a lot of Black professional women who came and got their hair done all the time at this salon. And at the same time, some other of my friends are in cosmetology school. So I would go there so that they could do my hair, and I was like their mannequin, kind of. So it dawned on me, and I said, because you still have to pay, even though you're going to hair school. So I would pay to get my hair cut, and it's just a little cheaper. And then my friends were paying tuition because they're trying to get their cosmetology license. So then I said to myself, this is a good business. because the cosmetology school is getting my money as a customer, they're getting the money from the students. You even have to pay extra for shampoo, and it's like, well, what else you gonna do when you get your hair done? You know, so I'm just thinking like, oh, this is a good business. So I told my mother, I said, I want to start a business. I want to open a cosmetology school. So she said, oh, okay, tell Pastor Boyd. And that was the pastor of our church at that time. So I'm like, okay, I really didn't see the connection, but okay. So I told him, and then he told me about this program called the Renaissance Entrepreneurship Center. So he said, go there, they take you step by step on starting your business. So I enrolled in the 12-week business program, and you heard a little bit in my bio. 6 weeks, and by 6 weeks, I got the epiphany, like, I don't want to start a hair school. I want this entrepreneurship information right there on Virgos, right there in Elliot Hutch, where everybody is hanging out, because they are doing business transactions. It's just like deadly transactions in so many ways. So I figured if they learned entrepreneurship and transition those skills, then so much would change in our community. So it was just like a passion of mine, seeing how entrepreneurship can really change lives. And that's how I got involved. As an entrepreneur consultant. It wasn't what I studied at school. As you heard earlier, I studied American Studies, African American Studies, Urban Development, Economics. I just didn't really know entrepreneurship could be an actual career in itself. So fast forward a little bit, I became a consultant with the Renaissance. So I started off as a student, and now I'm a consultant. And let's see. Let me go to my notes really quickly. Okay, so trying to think. I'll tell you a specific situation where everything was on the line for me as an entrepreneur. And again, I'm still an entrepreneur. And it was like, I would say, I still say to myself, I need a Donnie McClurkin miracle. Okay, so this is what happened. My son was about a year, and we were living in Concord, and I was watching a Christian radio program, Christian TV program. And the lady said she had wrote a song, and it was for, if you're familiar with the term baby mamas, it's for, you know, women who had a kid and not necessarily with the dad, and could be a really hurtful experience, tragic time. And she said she just wanted them to know that God loved them. He had a plan for her baby. And I knew a lot of people in that situation. So I was like, wow, that is powerful. And for some reason, Juneteenth was near during all this that was happening as I'm watching this. Something I was hearing a lot about Juneteenth in San Francisco. So I made a couple of phone calls and I said, you know what does it take to get a singer to come to Juneteenth? And they said, well, who do you want to come? So I told them about this lady. And they said, oh, you have to make all the arrangements and we'll give her an opportunity to sing. So I said, okay. So I found her management company and turned out she wasn't available. But they said Donnie McClurkin was. So I said, oh wow. So now I'm like, wow, that's a big name. You know, we can get people there. Donnie McClurkin is gonna be there. So I reached out to their team and I said, you know, what do we need to do to book Donnie McClurkin for Juneteenth? So they told me, so they said, well, it'll end up costing about $30,000. Like for him and his band and travel and all that stuff. So I said, okay, well, what do I need to get started? So they said, we need a $10,000 deposit. So I said, okay. So I hung up the phone. Now I'm on, I think, disability. I'm not running no business. I don't have $10,000 basically. But I just said, okay. So I hung up and I just said, if I can get $10,000 and a computer, I didn't even have a computer at the time. This was 2002. So I said, if I can get $10,000 and a computer, then I can make this happen. I kid you not. My phone rang. It was my mother. And she said, Erica, I'm giving away this computer. I was going to give it to Nate, but I just want to check in with you. So I was like, I need a computer. So I got the computer. Then I'm thinking, okay, $10,000. So then my friend called, and so I'm telling her, so I'm like, okay, Nicole, if we come up with $10,000, we can get down in the Clerkland, we can sell tickets, we can make, we could have made like $45,000, $50,000 if we sold the place out, just all these things. And so she was like, oh, ask my mother. And I was like, I'm not asking your mother for $10,000. So she said, okay, I'll ask her. So I said, okay. So next phone call, Michelle was like, okay, Erica, I'll meet you at, I forget what bank it was, tomorrow, because this is like a Sunday. She said she would meet me. She's gonna loan me the $10,000. So I said, okay, we doing this, because that's what I said I needed. So I meet her, she gave me the $10,000. I send it to Dr. Clerkland's people, we set our date. So then, you gotta let people know you're having this event. So then, like I said, this was 2002, so everything wasn't just like the internet. So we still had to print flyers and posters, we had to go out. We went as far as Sacramento and San Jose every weekend, passing out flyers and posters at all the churches, just letting people know. We got an ad on KBLX, like we heard them talking about it, like everything. So we're like, oh, this is really happening. So this was about a month before ticket sales. So we're just like really excited with all this going on. So the day ticket sales, when the tickets went live for sales, we had an 800 number. So I called the number and it said something like 12 tickets. So I already knew like that's not a lot for Dr. Clerkland, So I'm just like, okay. So I was like, okay, we gotta push harder, you guys. Like we gotta go out every day, not just on the weekends. And we're calling all the churches, like we're doing everything we can. And it's getting closer to the date, and I think we might have sold 60 or so tickets. We needed to sell, I think, something like 2,500. So I talked to Dr. Clerkland's people, and I was just like, you know what? I can come up with $10,000 to pay Michelle back. We're just gonna have to cancel. So, no. I said if I ask them for their money back, then I'll just cancel. So I called, and they're like, nope, you signed a contract, you don't get the $10,000 back. They said, but what we can do is we can give you a new date and give you some more time. So I said, okay, we'll take the new date. So then the guy called me back and he said, you know what, every year, the new date we chose, he said every year there's a group in San Jose who brings Donnie McClurkin to the Bay Area. They chose that Saturday, you chose that Friday. It may or may not work. And I said, okay, well, what are we supposed to do? So he said, it's up to you. So I just said, okay. Now, I'm just like confused. I owe this lady $10,000. It's just a lot. So what I did do, I went to my pastor and he said, Erica, you need a miracle. And I really needed a miracle. So I called myself going on consecration. And I did a 3-day fast. I stayed at home, just me and my son, no phone, no TV, Lord, I need this money back. So what ended up happening, the people from San Jose called me and they said, let's market the event together. So I said, okay, Friday, San Francisco, Saturday, San Jose. Let's do that. So then I hung up the phone, so I said, okay, that's new flyers, new posters, that's $5,000 more. Nicole said, oh, my mom will give it to you. And then I said, I can't take another a dime from this lady. Like, I cannot do it. So I called the people from San Jose and I told them, I said, you know what? I'm sorry. Oh wait, let me just back up. One thing I want to share first. When I was working at the Renaissance, this was all happening while I was working. One of the times I worked at the Renaissance. And my coworker, she was also a business, she was more administrative. Her name was Yamile Gonzalez. And she passed away, I think it's been about 3 years. Yes, but at the time we were really close. And she was really, really heavily into the church and into the Lord. So I talked to her. So I said, Yamile, what am I gonna do? And she said, at the time, her husband ran a church. So she said, I want you to come over to my house and me and my husband are gonna pray with you. So I said, okay. So I went to her house. Her husband didn't even speak English. And they prayed like fire, you know? And so they were finished praying and he whispered to Yamile and she looked at me and she said, you gotta let it go. And I said, let what go? And she was like, everything. You just gotta walk away. And I was like, what do you mean walk away? She said, the Lord said, let it go. And I was like, I can't. Like, I owe these people money and, you know, it's too much just to let go. She said, well, I'm telling you what we heard from the Lord, so you can do what you want to do, but it's time to let it go. And now I'm in tears because it's just so much. So the next time I talked to the people in San Jose, I said, you know what? I don't have another penny to give towards this. I can't. I called Michelle. I said, Michelle, I'm so sorry. I'll get 2 jobs. I'll do whatever I can to pay you back. I thought this was going to be a good business deal. So I can feel she was upset, you know. And so now this is after the consecration. The next morning I woke up, and this was so long ago that this is when you had an answer machine and you could see the light blinking, so I knew I had a message. So I checked the message, and it was the lady calling me back from San Jose. And she said, you know, give me a call. So I gave her a call. And she said, you know what, Erica, we're gonna buy the date from you. And I said, what date? And she's like, we want your date. So we're gonna pay for everything, plus interest. Where do we send the money? So they sent the money to Michelle, and to this day, I still don't know who any of those people are. So, just say that to say, if I had to do it over again, I would, just because of how it turned out. Now, I was stressed, and I'm sure you guys could feel that, you know, because as an entrepreneur, you know, so much weighs on us. So many responsibilities. It could be personal, it could be family, it could even be your community. Right now I have an art studio, and it serves as an art studio, a gallery space, a community space, and even now sometimes if a certain vendor doesn't pay me on time, it has such an impact on everything else. And now I'm like, wow, the community expects this to be here. You know, so like I said before, you need to start a business is not an easy statement. But just like Dr. Lydell told our young African American boys who were only seen as basketball players, that they should take a chance, that they should do what's challenging. I am just gonna say to you that with the right support, with lots and lots of prayer, I agree that you should start a business. I used to tell people, but I promise I don't tell anybody anymore to quit your day job. Do not quit your job. Because I've done that many times too. But it's just what comes along with being an entrepreneur. Seeing how things happen that are far beyond your imagination. Every quarter, I host vision board experiences where we get together and we literally map out what we want to see in our lives. And I just had a vision board experience in January, and the first thing I put on my list was speaking engagements. And then out the clear blue, I got this phone call to come and do my first speaking engagement. So, anything is possible, but more importantly, I believe that God has given each of us a purpose. And sometimes kind of taking that comfortable road is not all there is to life. Like I said, I was raised in an entrepreneurial household. My mother's an entrepreneur. My dad worked. He does not like the entrepreneurial life. My brother is an entrepreneur. My sister does not like the entrepreneurial life. So I'm not saying everyone is an entrepreneur, but just having that kind of exposure and tapping into something that's a little deeper than who you are or who you think you are, it really, really does pull some good things out of you. I will also share, let's see, one more, something that was really important I wanted to share with you. Okay. I'm just gonna say this and another, two things I wanna say. For me, like I'm telling you, my journey, being an entrepreneur is bigger than me too. Like some people are like, wow, Erica, how did you do that? How do you start this? It's almost like someone who bakes really well. Or you see a 5-year-old who can play like a piano like amazingly. Some things are gifts, like this was a gift. So I don't expect everybody else to just kind of jump into things the way that I do. And I was just talking to my husband before I came in, and he reminded me that youth who study entrepreneurship, anywhere from the age of like 12 to 17, maybe 15% will actually start a business. But 65% are leaders in their communities, they are leaders in their companies. They reach back and help other people. So again, it's not to say that everybody's career path is to be an entrepreneur, but it's just what you get out of being an entrepreneur. So much more comes from that. So even if you just decide to try something, the learning experience will make whatever else you're doing in life that much better. So again, not wanting to intimidate everyone by saying that that's everybody's path, but there's just so much that comes from starting a business. And this is my final point, and I say it only takes one. That was what one of my supervisors used to tell me. Erica, all we need is one. He said that about a lot of situations. And one year for my birthday, just had a desire to invite some friends and go to a nice art gallery. And I actually found a Black-owned art gallery in Oakland, Joyce Gordon's art gallery, really nice. And I called ahead and I let them know we're gonna come and spend some time. It'll be a group of us, so I wanted them to know ahead of time. And I gave them my contact information. So somebody called me back and they said, do you guys want to paint? So I'm thinking, paint? And I said, no, we just want to come to the gallery. And I told some of my friends, and I was like, oh, they asked if we wanted to paint. So they said, yeah, we want to paint. And I was like, oh, okay. So I called back and I was like, yeah, we're going to paint too. So we get to the place and everybody's like jumping in, and it literally took me an hour to put my paintbrush on the canvas. And that's because nothing in me said art, nothing in me said create, none of that. Like I said, I'm doing business plans or I'm setting up programs, but not an artist. And the art coach, he came over to me and he said, okay, we're gonna do this together. So he told me, choose some colors, and I did all that. And so by the end of it, I had what I say the most beautiful butterfly ever. And it was just because I saw that white canvas turn out to have all these beautiful, amazing colors, and I did it. And that's so not me. So I'm just talking to people now, I can't believe what I did. And so later on at my church, they were having events for the marriage couples, and they were asking for ideas. I helped out in that ministry. I said, I have a great idea. Let's set up a paint party. So they didn't know what I was talking about. So I didn't know the whole craze for paint nights and all. I didn't even know any of that was going on. It was just something that really happened for me. And so they asked me, well, Erica, if you want to do it, you set it up. So, for me, I got this, So I set up the paint party, and I think we had 30 couples, and they had such a fantastic time. And again, now I'm just talking about it, and so now other people are asking me to set up this art experience, and so I started doing that. So, like I mentioned before, now the art gallery turned into a whole experience, a whole business, a whole world for me. But getting back to when I said it only takes one. And so I met one of our community partners here over in the Bayview, and she had a bar. And she said, Erica, let's do a paint night. So I said, okay, great. So we planned this paint night for about 2 months. And just when the flyer was about to go out, the person who was providing the food, she said that, I misspelled her name. So she said, you can't put that out, with my name misspelled. So I said, okay. So it just took a while to get the information out and in a timely manner. So paint night comes up. I set up 20 stations, and so people were coming in, but only one person decided to paint. So everybody's watching her and encouraging her paint, and it was fun, but in my mind, I'm why aren't you guys painting? I set up 20 stations here, and then I'm thinking about the cost, and I was man, I was planning on making this kind of money, and all this stuff is going through my head, and I'm trying to enjoy the night, but this is really what's going on. So I said, so then that was over, and thanked the host for having me, and it was great. About maybe a month later, the lady who was painting, she called me and she said, I got your number, and I had such a good time, and I want to have you come and do a paint experience at my job. And I said, okay, where do you work? And she said, Uber. And I said, okay. So that was the first of many that I've hosted for many tech companies. I've done a couple from some universities. I've done a couple for some church. It's just gone on and on. So again, it only took that one. And I was so nervous, I was so upset. There's so many different emotions. But that's the life of an entrepreneur. And again, like I said, when I started, Dr. Honeycutt, thank you for all that you do. And this view in this room is going to mean so much. So I thank you all for having me, and thank you so much for being here. Oh, the Joyce Gordon Art Gallery?
Okay, what is it?
Joyce Gordon.
Joyce Gordon. And where is your art gallery?
It's on Sutter and Fillmore.
The name of it?
Honey Art Studio. Honey Art Studio. And right now we are hosting a play, a live theater. And the premise of the play is from the 1950s in the Fillmore. And it's as if Bop City, you remember that famous jazz club, is closing. And it talks about what's happening at that time. The music is incredible. And it also introduces the redevelopment. It talks about the certificate preference program. And so many things going on. So we have that play going on right now through May 12th. And you can get information at the Walking Cinema if you want to go and visit the play. So again, thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have any other questions for Erica?
Your most successful,
Did you hear her?
what was your most successful venture?
I would say the art studio right now. Yes, the art studio is my most successful venture.
Can you repeat the question?
She said, what's my most successful business venture? Yes, it would be the art studio and everything that's come from that. It's been at this location for 2 years, but we've been in existence for about 4 years now.
And you want to start the business again, right?
I'm working on an online business,
Oh, okay.
and others, all the others.
So you're looking around.
Well, I'm definitely
Okay.
But
So what would you do with the online business? What do you want to do?
actually, I want to be an online resource for originally stylists and consumers to get to the next level based on, wherever they are, just to get to the next level. So the education, resource,
Okay. Any other questions for Erica?
This is have a comment because I too am you're an alumni, and I went through the Renaissance program, and the Renaissance program has been really an immense thing for me, and it was a gift. My son and I both did the Renaissance program together, and one of the best things that I ever walked away from was billable hours. And I remember you didn't say it exactly like that, but you also said that you have to pay yourself. And the billable hours was the thing that really made me stay with it. And off and on, I'm an artist type person, but my artist, I can't draw. I can just barely do a stick figure, but I do woodworking and things like that. So I'm here primarily to try to get with other people, and I have a black doll, and I really need to say this. I have a little black doll. She looks, I used to call her Whitney, but I don't want to do that. But she reminds me of all of us. She's brown skinned, got a little short natural, very, very sophisticated. I want to put bodies on it. But I cannot do that because, Erica, you know how it is when you have so many things that you want to do. You have to sometimes shed that. So I'm just putting it out here that I'm going to give that idea to the senior citizens so they can prosper from it. But I want to be part of it because it's my, I'm the founder of it. So I'm really struggling and I need help with that. So I only saw this day before yesterday, it was Thursday, and it said you need to start a business. So for me, since I'm already started, I need to continue. So I really thank you so very much, Dr. Baker, for giving us this opportunity to be here. And it's not sometimes filling the auditorium, it's filling the hearts of you that can show up.
You understand. I said this morning, I think it was Mary I was talking to, I said, for me, it's 3 or 4 people that the good Lord has put at this event that we can help and encourage. That's all it takes. Okay, and it goes from there. I have things to say to you before you eat lunch, but I want to introduce you to one of the most wonderful young women here in Dayton, and her name is Ashley. Ashley. They're so wonderful, and I want you. She's a wonderful serial entrepreneur. I mean, she's always doing just
Thank you, thank you. My name is Ashley Blanco. I'm a San Francisco native, and I have a micro small, this is very small, kids life coaching business. So I support with one-on-one groups. I partner with school districts, nonprofits, private families, and it's all about helping kids meet their potential with playfulness and organization. So a lot of our kids have these stresses of not being able to be prepared when they walk in the room. So I do a lot of work to help them loosen up, activate their mind-body connection from a neuroscience perspective, but always keeping spirit at the center, and then being able to measure progress and growth in a way that helps them to see their progress and reduce their anxiety. And so I do all of that, and then I always keep some decks on me. I created 2 card decks, Tell Me You Love Me Without Telling Me You Love Me, and it's all about having heart-centered conversations. So instead of figuring out what to ask, you can lead with elevated emotions. And then the second deck is Flow Into You, and it's all about relaxation and meditation. And this was created because I wanted to support people in strengthening their ability to be concentrated without feeling anxious. So a lot of people are overwhelmed with the idea of self-awareness, so this helps with focused attention and meditation. Thank you, Dr. Anika.
Thank you, honey, for all you do. Do you know what? If we would just unify, see, that's what our issue is. She's doing working with these kids. Now, I will put out to all of you what one of my real goals is with the Honeycutt Foundation. I want to be like that Tia, what was that lady over in Oakland, that took a class of young people and she followed them all the way through school and through college.
Orally Brown.
Orally Brown. She's my mentor, one of my mentors. She don't even know it. Because that's what I want to do. Now, I won't start as deeply as Ora did in terms of being in kindergarten. But I mean, I could do 6 through up, 12 into college, okay? And right now I have an opportunity to do that. And I'm just going to share this with you. Because just because we've been around since 2015 doesn't mean that we don't have to figure out ways to do the things that we're called to do. I've got an opportunity right now, I was telling Erica about it, to work with 6th through 9th, I think they're 6th through 9th grade young men in the basketball program. They're great athletes, but they're doing poorly academically. And they are not getting it. So I'm trying to partner with this community center to help them through with an intensive program, comprehensive program, including mentoring, because it's very important that our young people are mentored. I've been mentored by people throughout my life, okay, and they were diverse. So mentoring is important, and then connect them to a university with college mentors who are in the areas in which they are. Now, all I lack right now is money, okay? I'd be glad to make a presentation to any billionaire, millionaire, Steph Curry, just let me talk to Steph. I mean, that's all. Okay, and tell them about the merits of this program. This is a program that can happen right now. I'm up here trying to figure out, how are we going to get all this together? Because I'm not going to be by myself. I'm going to have to pull up probably Ashley, okay, and Dr. Joe, and Erica, and Marcus, to really pull it together, okay? Because you find out you can't do it all. Yes, I'm an older woman. We all know that. But I mean, I want to also mentor and help the next generation when I'm no longer here, okay? Because those kinds of programs are sustainable. When we work with our young people, and by the way, when we work with their parents, who sometimes will sabotage your program and they don't even realize they're doing it, okay? So I had one woman that I had to work with over in I was raised in the Western Addition. At one of the schools I was at in the Western Addition, I believe it was Benjamin Franklin Junior High School at that time. So I called to find out why the student was in the class. And she told me that she had to babysit her sister. I said, she had to do what? babysit her sister. I said, but that's not her job. Her job is to be in this class with me. So let us sit down. I want to come talk to you, and we'll talk about some other resources that you can use so that you can take care of the needs of your other baby. She said, yes, Miss Honey. Yes, Miss Honey. And she wouldn't know. She was fine. But she hadn't thought of that as an option. You know, you don't take your eldest kid out of the class to babysit. No, we don't do that. Okay? And if it means setting up a babysitting arrangement or something, you know, and finding someone to pay for it or paying for it myself, it'd be fun. But so families have to be worked with too. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Mothers and fathers, so that they, and Ashley could probably speak to this a lot better than I. But what I want to say to you is, you still have to do a lot of work to make sure that you're viable. Okay? And, you know, because being an entrepreneur is exactly that. It is, you kind of have to work with it. And then, sometimes young people don't want to listen to old folks. Okay? Sometimes they do. I don't really care. I am going to try to share with you the information that God has given me to give to you. And that's it. You know, in life, we all have a choice. You can go this path. If you're religious, you can go down this path or this path. But you have a choice. I hope you've all had a wonderful lunch. And we want to thank Eskender Al-Sagad, this gentleman right up here, who stand up. Eskender, you'll be sitting here in the panel in a few moments, but he is the proprietor of Radio Africa, and as you can tell, he has wonderful, wholesome foods that will sustain you in life and not subtract years from your ability to stay on this planet. And it's delicious. Thank you, Erica. It is delicious. Thank you, Eskender. All right, so I would like to introduce the moderator of our panel discussion, and this young lady is her name is Tia Honeycutt, and she's my daughter, and she is the broker and founder of Proxima Realty, a boutique brokerage that nurtures buyers and sellers in her old hometown of San Francisco, her new hometown of Oakland, 30 years now in Oakland, and much of the East Bay, South Bay, and San Joaquin County. Her specialties are residential sales, rehab and renovation, and multifamily investment property sales. I'll tell you what Tia's really good at too, that she doesn't have on her bio. Tia is good at helping people who never thought they could buy a house, get a house. Okay? And Tia doesn't play with that. She's very, you know, if people, she'll nurture you however long it takes. She has the contacts with banks and everything to be able to get you into a house. But I am tired of people when they tell me, I know, wait, let me preface this. I know San Francisco's expensive. I know that, right? The rent's expensive. Buying houses can be expensive, but if you go over there and you talk to Tia, and if you're really interested in buying a house, I'm not trying to sell what she does, she just does it, okay? How many times am I in conferences, and people, one young lady ran up to me, she said, are you Tia's mother? I said, yes. She said, Tia helped me get my house. It just so happened, it was what's the name of the young lady that runs the baby YMCA? Yes. Yes. She saw me at another conference. She bought her house. He had helped her buy a house. Do you understand what I'm saying? And a lot of people start with this, well, you know, I can't buy houses. I said, and I try to tell them, look, do you know there are a lot of subsidies out there? No, I didn't know that. I said, do you have a real estate broker or anybody you're working with? No. I said, well, you need to go talk to my daughter. Okay? If you got someone else you're working with, tell them to look for subsidies so that you can get into a house. You don't, I sound as if I'm doing a commercial for Tia, but I'm really doing a commercial for you because you don't need to have 20% down in order to get into a house. There are subsidies right and left now, okay? And you also need to know about where affordable housing is in the city. This gentleman right here, who will be on the panel, Thor Kozlowski. He's the executive director with OCII. Well, see, the thing is, he's aware of subsidies because I'm always in his face asking about subsidies. For people who are in my face, asking me about how they look at this house. Okay. Anyway, back to Tia Honeycutt. She is one of Rheology's top 1,000 in the nation in sales volume, and has had the honor of serving as the past president and MLS chair of her local association, as well as the current MLS chair and past executive committee member and regional chair at the state level. She studied physics at UC Berkeley before she left to care for her young son and to pursue a career in entertainment. She is a former member of the Screen Actors Guild and spent 10 years in the film and television industries. And she enjoys the company of her husband, my wonderful son-in-law. He's such a wonderful man. Thank you, God, for giving her a good man. Oh, I can't help it. He's so wonderful. 4 children, and they're 2 Aussie shepherds, Bella and Blue, who are wonderful children in and of themselves. I have stories to tell you about those 2 Aussies, okay? Especially the female, who didn't, I wasn't putting the food in her plate quickly enough. So she took her 2 paws and punched me in my back, not hard, to help me to get that food in the plate. Oh boy, I'm telling you, I love God's creatures, okay? And I love those 2 in particular. And Tia has practiced yoga. She's done belly dancing because I was the kind of mother who believed in exposing your young people to everything.
That's not on the Bible.
No, that's not on this bio, but I happen to think about her over at Magana's doing, oh yes. Okay, she supported the Realtors Relief Fund and advocated on behalf of CAR and NAR. Okay, and then again, the third, just as in the case of Erica, if I told you everything I knew about Erica and her ability to get things done, I would be here with Tia for 30 minutes because she serves in a number of responsible capacities, flies in and out all the time. When you don't see me in town, it's usually because I'm out of town and taking care of my wonderful grandson and the 2 dogs that I was referencing and told you about, okay? So without any further delay, here's my wonderful daughter, Tia Honeycutt, the moderator of this panel.
All right, everyone, thank you so much for having me here today. I'm really, really excited to bring this amazing panel, this esteemed panel to you today of entrepreneurs. We're going to talk today about challenges, opportunities, and hear the war stories, right? Because we know that you got to pivot to be able to be a successful entrepreneur. So without any further ado, I would like to invite up our panel. We have the wonderful and amazing Marcus Tart, who is joining us. We have Thor Kozlowski, who is joining us as well. And Asger, you're going to help me with your last name. I don't want to...
No, either way, Asger.
Asger.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Please join me. And also, we're so lucky to have Erica, who's going to stay with us as well. You met her earlier. But we're going to talk a little bit more about her entrepreneurship journey and some of the challenges that she's faced. I think so, right? Well, I think we have it right now, right? Because there's supposed to be you and then Erica. Perfect. All right, so if you don't mind, I thought it might be nice to start with kind of going down the line, getting a little information about each of you and your journeys, and anything else you'd like to share with us today. So please, Marcus, tell us a bit about yourself.
Yeah, Marcus Tart, again, Center Director of Renaissance Entrepreneurship Center. Born and raised in this great community, maybe Hunters Point. And since we do have a small group, I am going to do a pivot. I do want to ask you guys questions, but maybe now's not the right time to. Because so much of this is me understanding. So Renaissance is, again, we're a nonprofit organization. We help people start and grow businesses. And entrepreneurship is always changing. So it's different now than it was, say, a year or 2 ago. And so part of what I do is learning more about what you do. So I think I prepped a few people up for these questions, and I'd just like to start with you because and if you could just share your name, and then what's the difference between, there's two different concepts you have. Can you share with the audience?
One thing that I was sharing with them based on being self-employed for 35, 40 years, full-time. I've had my highs and lows. But what I can say is it is really important that you know the difference between a good idea and a God idea. There's a lot of good ideas out there, and they're not necessarily for you. God ideas come from inside, there's conviction, and just the way that it plays out. I own two salons, one in Los Angeles, one in Georgia. One was a God idea, one was a good idea. The God idea, it was just amazing, without going into a whole lot of detail. It was just amazing. Things just happen. You take one step, he'll take two. Because I had experience in the salon business when I went to Georgia, it was a good idea. I still had my relationship with God, and I would check in periodically. But I lost a lot of doggone money. I saved a lot of money on the first one, but the second one, I lost a lot of money. He still kept me, I was able to sustain the business. I was in business for 11 years. It made a great impact on the community. I was happy there. All of that just didn't flourish like I did with the first one.
Great.
Oh, that's something else?
No, that's good.
No, but that's key. That's key. There's a book called Visioneering that will explain all of that. You'll be able to see right where you are at every point of the journey, and to save yourself a lot of money and heartache, because if God doesn't pay for it, you won't pay for it.
Thank you for sharing that. I'm gonna come to you. I know I didn't cue you up. I love barbecue. What's special about barbecue that you're about to put out?
I'm smoking a long time, so you guys probably don't have to wait. I developed love for cooking in New Orleans. I left here in 2002. After 9/11. I left Katrina, so the journey. I moved out to the country and bought a smoker. And I burned the first 30 days. So the second one came out really good. I just developed my own technique and shared that cooking picnics, and everybody was like, you're wasting your time. Pretty good at this. That's why I developed a passion about cooking barbecue.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that very much. Thanks for sharing that. And then I definitely want to get to Ashley. Ashley, how are we going to scale your enterprise? Have you thought about that?
I have thought about it. I'm thinking about who I can partner with for distribution and how I can get these eggs into rural areas across the country.
Okay, and one last, if I may, Tia. Oh, one more.
I actually went through the Renaissance Entrepreneurial program back in '91, and I started a business in San Francisco.
Okay.
Yes, and I also served via our admins, and it was the opening or reception of the Renaissance new location on Howard Street.
Yeah, still
At
there.
that time, yes. So I was really excited and highly motivated at the time, and I had my 3 different varieties of pastry, and I was just ready to go. But just how do I overcome the first I didn't go to the next level. So, and that's what killed me.
So you're thinking about the reboot?
No, I'm not. At that time I had been with the newspaper agency, San Francisco newspaper agency for 4.5 years, and I was not happy with working with someone else, and I wanted to do some large talent, what I thought was talent added to do that. But now I'm more conscious about what I eat and what I do to others. I am interested now in publishing, even because that's why I was gravitating toward the newspaper agency in the first place.
Thank you for sharing that. And then I have the artist. How are you going to, can you just share, how do you get your products to the market?
First of all, I don't really have a market because I work full-time and my business is pretty much a secondary business because I'm one of those hairy cats. I don't want to quit my day job. So I work my day job along with my business, and I also work out of my home. And as I talked to you before, is that I had the opportunity to have art space with other people, but I find that since I have a house that has a full basement, I can do whatever I need to do there. So if I'm interested in a product, if I have a product, I should say, that I want to sell. Say, for instance, I wanted to sell you a product, and I know that your company would be probably best with my product, then I will approach you. So I work kind of like a caterer. I work by order, and that for me is very satisfying because I don't want to have a lot of overhead. And I'm interested in writing, so I'm kind of a move around person. So this gives me the opportunity to have a business, work my job, and do the job, do my business according to what I want to do.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. I mean, I guess that's the point I would like to make, is that entrepreneurship, you can engage in different ways. There's some people who do it for a hobby, and that's fine because it could be very important for their mental wellness. There's some people who do it as a side hustle to make some additional money. There's lifestyle businesses where you just really want to have a lifestyle, taking care of yourself, take care of your family, maybe buy a house or something like that. And then there's people in it for wealth building. They're looking at growing their business in a fast way, hiring employees, using their business as a business asset that they can transfer to either the family or someone else.
So it was really great getting to know and where you are in your entrepreneurial journey. I'd love to hear a little bit more specifically about what the Renaissance Center does and how it could be helpful to the community. We do have our Facebook community listening in as well.
Yeah, thank you. We're a resource center, so the training, it takes a lot to run a business. So the training is big, whether it's just, putting together a business plan, other resources that we have, mentoring, access to capital is something that folks need to have. Networking is really important. Building a social network, building a professional network is huge. So it really does take a lot. And we don't do it all at Renaissance, but we try, I guess we pride ourselves on knowing where all the resources are so that we can help you grow your business.
Hi, my name is Erica Scott, and I am an entrepreneur, and I currently operate Honey Art Studio. It's an art gallery, and we are actually launching our first theater production from the space as well. So it's over in the Fillmore, and it's a space to reclaim what once was as the Harlem of the West, where it was a bustling, predominantly Black community. And so now we've set a stage, literally, to be there and to bring back life of Black people, Black culture, and to build a Black economy in San Francisco.
Hello everyone, my name is Iskandar Asaged. I'm the chef owner of Radio African Kitchen. Can you hear me well? Yes? All right. My business actually started as a hobby and a sort of a political movement, like working in San Francisco in the 90s and early 2000s. Fancy restaurant, 4-star restaurant. I was the only black person working in all those restaurants I worked. And it occurred to me in the early 2000s, how come there isn't a lot of, there isn't like a quality black-owned restaurant out there. And then this is like in the early 2000, 2002, 2003. And then after, like not finding any really like a cool black-owned restaurant, I started as an underground restaurant in the Mission that became very successful for the next 9 months. Basically, I was a self-taught chef, growing my own stuff, visiting farmers, and then just throwing parties for 15 to 40 people in my backyard. And of course, the first 6 months was a disaster because just did not know, but just allowed other people supported, and then became really seriously involved when people were like when it became a regular thing. Because I was doing every Thursday, and then I added every Friday. So the business really started like from the beginning, a self-taught, driven, food lover. I love food. I travel, through North Africa, Europe, the Mediterranean countries, eating, tasting wine, but I never knew how to cook. So that is how it started, and I ran it for like about 6-7 years as an underground, very quite successful, in fact. And the trick for my business was two things. Number one is consistency, just driven. You don't think about money or the profit at all. The first thing is actually, now young people come to me, how do you start doing this, and they want to make money in the first month or the first year. No. The money will come if you just build it first. You have to really work hard above and beyond and connect with people. Once the people who have started companies 15 years ago, I'm still working with them. Because that trust is very important. Building a quality market. Other things, I really love so many things, like the running of the business. People think I'm an artist, in fact. I'm not a business person. I'm just a cook, a chef. I'm like a community person. So sometimes that kind of is a huge disadvantage for me, but it works if you if you have a good product, if you're really driven, if you're people love you. That's the number one thing you have to do for them. And the rest of it is, you could tweak it, do social media. We still don't have social media. I still don't do any of the self-advertising. 100% is coming, people searching for us. Hey, Radio Africa, we want you to do this one. And we do a variety of stuff. So that's how it started. And then the baby, of course, I was lucky enough, I think something like almost 14 years ago, the mayor's office approached me, hey, we've seen you running at the Mission, all these community-oriented, packed houses, 50, 60 people in your backyard. Do you want to open a restaurant? Oh, I say, where? I say, baby. Oh, and I didn't even think about it, absolutely, because again, I wanted to open either in West Oakland or somewhere maybe in the Fillmore, something where black people, like my type of people, all of them are my type of people, but people who look like me, it's kind of like a movement first. So 2012, we opened 13 years ago at a restaurant. To be honest, it was very successful the first 8-9 years, and then there was up and downs due to many things. Nobody to blame. I was talking with Thor earlier. It's just it's a combination of stuff that didn't materialize. Foot traffic, as restaurant, even other shops it's all about foot traffic. So we're small business. We were put in the middle of the Bayview. We had a lot of struggles, but fortunately, we're still connected. 90 to 95% of the profit I made is made elsewhere. It's just my shop isn't there. We're still trying to sort of different ways to attract people, like cooking classes, on the Tuesdays, events, you name it, like gathering places. So those are like a lot of the things we still talk about, Marcus and everyone, like what can we do to revive, because we're still a very small community. It's not easy to run a business in there. However, we're still driven, we're still in the community, and we still love it.
Great, Iskender. Thanks to tell that story. Can I add to that, maybe towards the end, just to inform people about how community works together. But let me just start with who I am. I'm Thor Kozlowski. I'm the Executive Director of the Office of Community Investment and Infrastructure, formerly known as the San Francisco Redevelopment Agency. And we were responsible for the development in 3 geographic areas. The Trains Bay area, which is around the Trains Bay bus terminal, and the Mission Bay area, which is between the 2 sports stadiums, all the way to 280 and all the way over to the Bay. And between those 2 project areas, we're developing 10,000 units of housing, 45 acres of parks, and about 10 million square feet of commercial space, mostly retail and office. Those projects are almost all done. If you go into those neighborhoods, they look all built out. And we have about 5 to 10 years left there. Our other project, which is the 3rd project area we're responsible for, is the Hunters Point Shipyard in the Candlestick area. That project is still under development, hasn't quite gotten going yet. We have about 500 households living in phase 1 of the Hunters Point Shipyard. And across all of our projects, we do affordable housing. About 30% of our housing stock will be affordable housing. And on average, it's going to be affordable to folks earning 50% of area median income. We have some of the deepest affordability levels short of the public housing authority. And just to put that into context of what does 50% area median income mean? Well, it changes every year, but this year, 50% area median income is one person earning approximately $50,000, or a 4-person household earning about $140,000 to $150,000 would qualify for our housing. And to put that further into context, the minimum wage in San Francisco, which is higher than California minimum wage, is $18 an hour. So at $18 an hour, so if you have any full-time job, you're able to afford the housing that we're building. So in addition to that, we also have a pretty robust replacement housing program, which has just begun, and I want to acknowledge Dr. Veronica Honeycutt for her leadership in helping us get that. I'm going to tell you a story about that. And we have the great Commissioner Linda Richardson here, who is an advisor on so many different strategic initiatives, behind the scenes, sometimes in front of the scenes, but people go to her for guidance and advice on things. But Dr. Honeycutt and I, along with the leadership of Mayor London Breed, last year went to Sacramento and partnered with Senator Wiener. And Dr. Honeycutt was at multiple hearings, both at the state level and locally, to advocate for 6,000 affordable units. That were the units that, when we displaced lots of residents in Fillmore, mostly, the Bayview Hunters Point, South of Market areas, we displaced 14,000 households, and we only replaced a portion of them. The 6,000 units is the remaining portion of them. So state legislation was passed last year to authorize us to do that. So that's additional affordable housing that's added to the portfolio. At the Hunters Point Shipyard and Candlestick areas, we're doing 12,000 units of housing there, over 300 acres of parks, and about 5 million square feet of commercial space, again, office and retail. We have a robust, I think the most robust, and it's been that way for decades, economic opportunity program. We have a small business enterprise and local workforce program so that people can benefit from the projects that we do. We've generated $6 billion, with a B, $1 billion worth of economic activity through our projects over the past 10 years. And 50% of that is targeted to all small businesses in San Francisco, Bayview Hunters Point, and workforce as well. That's put about $160 million of wages into San Franciscans' pockets. That's tremendous. The average salary working on our projects is about $74,000 a year. So we build housing that people can afford, we give them opportunities, hopefully that they'll take advantage of and be able to qualify for our housing, and then hopefully they get enough economic opportunity that they can live wherever they choose after that. And so I just wanted to offer that out. I've got about 25 years working in this business of community development. I have an MBA from New York City Baruch College, but I've been an entrepreneur all my life. I come from a line of entrepreneurs. My mom founded the first St. Croix cruise market in St. Croix, U.S. Virgin Islands. My dad, he founded a herbal import company, was importing herbs from from England into New York City. And I always had a side hustle. Even when I was working in New York City, I worked in the mayor's office for 13 years there. I worked for the first black mayor, David Dinkins. That's when I first got employed. And I always had a side job in cooking and catering and special events because it just was an exciting place to be. It's in fact how I got my start in business. And just to touch on an additional story about Iskander in Radio Africa, that project was built by the redevelopment agency, 4800 3rd. So he's in the ground floor commercial space of that building. We funded that project, and the developer for that project is the San Francisco Housing Development Corporation, your local community development corporation that's got 1,600 units of housing under development and management. And they are the current landlord. I used to be the president of their board for a number of years. And so we worked collaboratively with Iskander and Radio Africa. When times were hard, we were not hard. We were easy to deal with. And it really takes a community organizations that understand what local businesses are going through and tries to work with them. And doesn't try to just push people out and try and get the maximum amount of money, but actually think about what the long term, we're making 20, 30, 50-year decisions here. I want to make one other comment also about Dr. Honeycutt. This is not about her, but she just happens to have done these two significant things in addition to her illustrious career. The Navy is cleaning up the balance of the Hunters Point shipyard. They're about to begin a $1 billion demolition program for all the buildings that are out there at the Hunters Point shipyard. And they just recently made a historic agreement to contract locally with Bayview Hunters Point businesses for 23% of that $1 billion. Now that $1 billion will come in over 10, 15 years, but that's $250 million being spent in this community. And Dr. Honeycutt was at the forefront of that. She approached me about, when the Navy talked about doing that, about having them do some local contracting. And I said, you know, Dr. Honeycutt, it's a little unrealistic. The Navy really, they just don't do that. They're working nationwide. They don't have really local preferences. It's kind of against some of their policies. And she says, how about if we write a letter? I said, well, she wrote a letter to Washington, D.C., Mr. Greg Preston, the head of National Base Closure, wrote a letter. And it was with her advocacy and Mayor London Breed speaking to the representatives in D.C. that the historic agreement was struck with the Navy. They had an event last week called Industry Day where they announced that program rolling out. So I want to thank her for her leadership in the community, and I'm here to answer any questions as well. Tia, thank you.
Round of applause for Dr. Honeycutt and for Thor as well. Amazing. So one of the things I love about this panel is every single one of you is an entrepreneur. You've been maybe in and out of the public and private sector, but also have some pretty strong entrepreneurship bona fides. So my question to you all is, what inspired you? What made you take that first leap into entrepreneurship?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know, it was in me. It was just in me. I don't know if there was anything, I think maybe the freedom. Like whenever I get at a job, I always thought like, okay, I knew there's a better way of doing it, or I just like the freedom. I didn't like to be micromanaged. And so I think too, just being able to solve some problems. And so I think that is what really started me into entrepreneurship.
I would have to echo that. Definitely the freedom. My signature for Honey Art Studio is freedom to create. So you see that in all my emails, but even before Honey Art Studio, freedom was like a major factor for me. And it's just having an idea, or like you said, Marcus, wanting to solve a problem and having to get a bunch of permission to do it, that started to weigh on me. I felt it strongly, and I saw a need and wanted to see it support other people. And so that desire just grew and grew, that I finally just had to take a leap and say, you know what, I'm gonna do this. I can't keep waiting for people to give me the okay to do it. And so I just went for it.
For me, it was two things. The first one is the love for food, entertaining people, connecting with people. My family in Ethiopia, the same thing. My mother was, a gardener, great cook, and she always pushed us, oh, like, send more wine, it's really very good host. And so one of them was for me that, just loving food, wine, travel people, language. And the second one, which is more important, was political reason. I think having lived now for 35 years in San Francisco, I used to say, black people, do your own thing. Do your own business, do your own art, do your own technology, do your own food. So that's where it came from in the early 2000s. That was definitely the drive for we can't just say, oh, I remember this maybe 20 years ago, the place called Compton Place, the Compton Place, I was working in a fancy restaurant, and we were, I was a waiter, but we wore suit and ties, and we were gone. One black guy came to apply, and then he was told, I was told by someone in the circle, no, I think one black person is enough in here. That was like, whoa, because I totally forgot. You forget, because I was just more, I thought, racism doesn't, it's maybe there, but it's not that relevant. But after that, I say, well, that was the driving force, and then, along with it coming, not only you have to start your the business, you have to be good at it. You have to nail it at all points and all that stuff. So those are the two driving forces for me.
What drives me to have been an entrepreneur, and I'm now what I call an intrapreneur. You may have heard that phrase. It's entrepreneurial behavior within an organization. It sounds corny, but good community outcomes. The mayor asks whenever we're in meetings with her, would you take that job in the community for? Would you live in that housing that you're building out of the shipyard? And so that's always a measure, is how or what we're doing going to help the community. If it's going to help the community, keep it on and try and do it better. If it's not going to help the community, take it back and figure out a better way to do it. I've always thought about the opportunity in places that are not thriving economically, educationally, from a health perspective. And I am attracted to those communities because I want to help. Just imagine the amount of economic activity that's generated by somebody who's earning low income but then gets into 120% of the area median income, what they can then go do with their lives. I went to business school, and my eyes really opened up through education. Education was a big part of my life. I think it's really important, because if you don't know the choices that you can make, it's hard to make the right choice. You might get lucky and make the right choice, but if you don't know all the choices that are available to you, and so no matter your education, no matter your station in life, no matter where you are, you can make a series of bad choices, but if you don't know the list of them, you can't even figure out a path to get to them. And so I'm really excited in the work that I do, to give people opportunities, to open them up, and then they get to choose whatever they want to do. But at least they know what's possible.
Can y'all hear me? Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah, you got a projector in this room, but I have no problem with my big mouth. Commissioner Richardson.
Question, please. Before we get to Dora, I just wanted to, Mr. Marcus. So let's just say hypothetically, I'm new, and this is a fantastic workshop anyway, because we have all these experts and they're given, and I'm sure the video, a lot of people would take a lot of positive messages. The question that I have is for Mr. Marcus, because everything starts from this guy. The Renaissance is really the first leg, and the reason I want to say here is that I just spoken to an African-American gentleman, because your organization can't have the patience and the time to sit down and help an entrepreneur to be, how they start their business, what they need to have, and this is what and it's so important that everybody knows that that is the first step. because after you complete it, you've gone through markers and getting your ideas refined before you can get to third. And by the time you get to third, it's like, okay, yes, we have all this building, residential, these are the opportunities, and you say, yes, I'm ready to go because I'm established. And Marcus Renaissance is also able to help you if you're trying to get a space. You know, where do I need to locate when I'm starting out? Okay, more than anybody here, he's the one that can help you to locate and says, maybe you need to be here, you know, temporarily or something. So I just kind of wanted to accentuate that, because a lot of us African Americans, when we start out, we don't have that guidance. And it's so important now that we have, that you can just point someone directly and to someone that, you know, can really be able to help them. Again, this is the kind of information of that, you know, the Hanukkah Foundation, Dr. Veronica Hanukkah is giving our folks, so that we have laid out all the plans, take advantage of that, and then after that, then you can, you know, Erica is there, and you get Radio Africa, and then Mr. Pulaski, and of course, real estate of Tia Hanukkah. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Richardson. And I'm very happy to highlight the organization that Marcus is here representing, because a lot of people have great ideas as far as starting a business, but they don't have the resources, they don't realize they need to come up with a business plan and need to plot out their future so they can work towards that. So thank you very much for that reminder, very important information. Skander?
Yes.
Thank you for bringing up the topic that I'm moving to next, which is what unique challenges do you think you can pinpoint have you experienced as being Black entrepreneurs?
Well, it's, you know, once you're in a business, it's hard to observe that. You know, one of the things actually when you're a business person also is one of the few most important things is to reflect, you know, to sort of review yourself, because I think a lot of the times we don't allow time for ourselves to just, because you could be doing the same mistake, you know, for 100 times, right? And I strongly, in my opinion, to answer your question, as a Black person, a lot of the challenge come from myself, you know, just overworked, just continuing instead of the strategy, you know, creating a strategy of looking at, well, first one, at work timing, and then also putting energy elsewhere. It's not all about the food, you realize, right? There's other things, you know, transportation, marketing, and all that, like you talk. So I strongly, in fact, suggest, you know, taking the Renaissance Marcus, you know, organization. I tell people, I wish I had taken that class a long time ago, you know. So I'm being a little bit of a stubborn, you know, African guy, just do it all kind of stuff. Went, you know, still headed to the business only. I'm not bad in what I do. I think, you know, I'm connected with a lot of, you know, companies and individuals. So I do pretty well. But however, the challenges are now how to do the paperwork, you know, how to even get paid, you know, the invoices. There's like hanging invoices out there. You know, you forget because, you know, like I say, I run like an artist, but just all about the product and then falling behind on the other stuff. So one of the challenges are self-inflicted, meaning not paying attention. Others are just a cultural thing, you know. Sometimes we Black people, you know, just need to sort of like, like listen, like, you know, listen to, you know, like something earlier I was Ashley, I did what Ashley said was so beautiful. Like, you know, God, we need to be coached in such a way, like all these energies flowing around, it's channeled to the right channel, you know. So those are, I think, the two, problems, not problems, but maybe like a little hard thing to have. I don't know, got answers.
I think one of the challenges, specifically being Black, is more so of the external visions that we have and that we encounter daily. When you go to the South, you see Black people. Just being here in California, specifically San Francisco, and even now, less so, it's just the fact of not seeing a lot of Black entrepreneurs or not feeling confident that you can be an entrepreneur, that you can really pursue your dreams. The struggle is real. Like Dora mentioned before, just paying your bills and living comfortably and earning a decent wage weighs so heavily that you don't even have the space or the capacity to think about running a business. And so when you do, you go in with all these preconceived notions of what you can't do. And just recently for me, I went and I applied for a business loan. And the lender was asking for more and more information, and the more he was asking, the more and more frustrated, the more I'm just like mentally saying, I'm not gonna get this loan, I can't qualify. And then something had to snap, and I'm like, wait a minute, I can. Let me just ask him, what do you need for me to qualify for this loan? It was all these thoughts I had in my head already setting myself up to say that I couldn't do it. And again, it's just these messages that you grow up hearing, and again, not seeing people who look like you, the bankers don't look like you. There's just a lot of fear. And so it's just being in community like this is so important and so helpful, which is why I'm such an advocate of the Renaissance, because everybody who sits in that business program generally has a different business concept, a different business industry, but it's just being around like-minded people who want to start a business or who want to grow a business, and you feel comfortable sharing those fears, and you feel comfortable saying that you need help with your credit, and so you are able to talk about what the barriers may be of just being Black in San Francisco.
Want to speak to it? I mean, I think they said it all. I mean, I think the solution for me has always been very clear, that we have to support each other. When I read somewhere where, what was it, consumer spending just for Black folks in America is $1 trillion. Like, that's a phenomenal number, because if we support, if Black businesses support Black businesses, if residents, like community, I hear that a lot, I don't get supported by the community, whether it's foot traffic, Skinner just said it. If we learn how to support Black businesses, like that's huge, that's huge. If we're more intentional about how we spend our dollar, we can have a tremendous impact in this community. So I figure that's the solution for us, is that our problems always have to be resolved with us. And we have capacity to do that. We know how to do it. We just got to get comfortable and relearn how to do that.
Thanks. I want to emphasize something that Erica said just now. I think the number one issue is fear. Fear is at the root of, I can't do it, imposter syndrome, I don't know how, I don't know the people, all that stuff. I think if you walk in and think with conviction, Susan said, the God plan, right, or God idea, I think you called it. With that conviction, that level of conviction, I don't care where you get it from. Go to church to get it, go to synagogue, go to mosque to get it, go do some push-ups and get it. Go in there and act as if it is yours, and it will become closer to you. There is no straight, easy path up the mountain. From far away, it looks like people are traveling effortlessly up the mountain by themselves. But when you get closer, you see they're going this way, they're going that way, and they got 7 people with them. So network yourself, join others who are like-minded. Hopefully they look like you, but just make sure they're like-minded, whatever they look like. And join and band together with folks. Learn everything you can about what you're trying to do so you can know the pathway to go up that mountain for yourself.
Sorry about that. Now I'm remembering. One of the things also in the Bayview, I think, one of the challenges we had here as a business person was there were so many events going on, not coordinated, or we lack unity. I remember I'm right across from Opera House, and I would hear something through a third person or something like that. What? That's great. I don't know about it. Like so, I think I know there are certain situations we can't resolve it. Foot traffic. There is no foot traffic. There's no people, right? But there are certain events we could coordinate. For example, hey, Radio Africa, hey, or whoever, Alio. By the way, do you guys want to open on a Saturday, such and such? Because there is an event in here, and we will pursue that. Because obviously we're a small business. I have no time to, because really one thing is the small business owners, we do not have time even for ourselves. Forget about trying to coordinate. We're 100% more interested in the product we're building, whether that's food, whether it's jambalaya, salmon, whatever it is. The rest of it is, like you were saying, community support, coordinating something. Then someone will come, hey, email me, oh, by the way, like right now we're in April, May? April. May, right? If a June event coming up, I need to know the June event that we could book it up. Oh, this event over here. And then not only we could do it, we could plan and target who's coming in that event. We could do playful food, even presentation. So we really need unity of what is going on in here. That way, not only that the business could benefit, we could also participate at the time.
So I'm not going to give you a hard time here, Iskender, but I will say that there are social media channels that you could use. I'm thinking of almost like a Slack channel that a lot of the entrepreneurs could all be on, where they could post what events that they have coming up. It's basically like a community board, but instead of it being like a physical thing, it comes to your phone. So that might be a thought. I know you don't have time to be fooling with it, but maybe there's a younger family member who, a nephew, or certainly I defer to my teenagers, when I've got to leverage some of their abilities, and I don't really have a lot of funds available for a social media expert. So, but that is an amazing idea. It's almost unbelievable that doesn't exist, and it seems like that would be an incredible solution because you could crowdsource your efforts, right? So it's not just the folks that are coming to your business, but folks that are coming to other businesses who, as Thor was saying, could be networked for the greater good. And speaking of opportunities, I'd like to switch gears a little bit and ask each of you, what unique opportunities do you think come out of being a Black entrepreneur?
Opportunities like this. Business is such a key aspect of every life, any life, every culture. And so business automatically coincides with leadership. And so you have more of a voice, and through networking and just on the ground with the community. Like I said earlier, my mom operated her preschool for 25 years, and that's generations of families and community who have come and gone, not only to receive the services, but she employed most of my friends, a lot of people in the community. So there's just so many aspects of opportunity presented as a business owner as you receive it, and also as you get back. Workforce is huge when you're able to provide jobs, and that's another thing that's missing so much in our communities is the local business owner is not able to hire the youth or the seniors or things that normally happen in most communities as it relates to business. So when a community or when a business is thriving, the impact is so great on the larger community.
Sure. Yeah, I think the opportunity we have, as a Black entrepreneur is being unique. I think, but one thing is I appreciate San Francisco for the opportunities. Each time, people always love unique food. I think pretty much everyone wants diversity. It's not. When I talk about the Black business, it's not necessarily singling out Blackness. It's in the end we all want united people. So the advantage is like I remember like a few years ago, maybe 6-7 years ago, doing Google lunch 3 times a week. That's very lucrative stuff for almost a year, 9 months. Because they wanted different. They want different. So the opportunity is out there. It's just more of you were saying the choices are out there, but we don't know. Like how do we know that one? Like you were saying also, I need to learn a little bit of like how to plug it in Facebook, that kind of stuff. And then also for our purposes, more professional, emailing businesses specifically, because not all of us look at Facebook. Maybe now yes we should, but I think there's tremendous opportunity.
I think as Black folks, we're standing here today, by God's will, of course, but because we're resilient. We face adversity, some that we are aware of, and some we're not aware of, but we face multiple adversities. And so therefore we're resilient. And so we got to convert these things that have we've internalized negatively and put them out in the marketplace as something that's positive. So although most people look like us around the world, in America, we're different, right? So let's use our difference as a marketing tool. I remember when George Floyd was murdered, and I spent 8 years as a development advisor and consultant and developer. And I was like, oh man, business just dried up. COVID happened. Business is going to dry up. But you know what? All of a sudden, Black developers mattered. So I talked about that. I talked about how I can work with communities who look like me. And everybody was looking for somebody who was connected to community, who was Black, who had any kind of relationships. Those were impediments previously. You talk about Baby Hunters Point. I work in Baby Hunters Point. Well, nothing's going on there, so that's not good. All of a sudden, that mattered. And it still matters today. So you got to always look in the marketplace for how you can take advantage of something that's different that you offer. That's classic competitive advantage strategy theory, right? Competitive advantage is what they call it. So look for your competitive advantage. Sometimes it's in the form of something that you think is wrong. So that's just a little tip.
Yeah, along with what Thor just said, the advantage, I believe, is our culture. Our culture is priceless. Like, I always feel like people can't really get enough of it. We just don't know how to market it. We don't do enough of that. I was watching football, the draft and everything, big 49er fan. And there was an analyst, a black man. He had on a pink suit. And I'm like, who else could do something like that? Not like I'm rolling with the pink suit, but nobody else is gonna come out with a pink suit. And he was able to wear that. I mean, our food from Radio Africa to Gumbo Social, like somebody's not, I don't know what gumbo is, but there's a story behind it. And there's a story behind our culture. And people, Beyonce, like I can go on and on and on. Like she just decided, okay, I'm gonna get into country music, right? But we were always into country music. But when she did it, now it's just selling out. So we have to be proud of our culture and know that it is priceless and that people actually want it.
Wow, that's exactly where I was going with that question, so thank you. And you all hit on it, right? Most of the clients I work with do not look like me, do not come from my community. Unfortunately, if they did in California, I would have a very small book of clients, right? Because it's a very expensive place to be. But something I found is, when I speak with them, like a code switch, and I'm like, when I hear something from an agent from the other side, they think I'm being real in a way that an agent from a different culture isn't, right? So it's to my benefit, right? So I could get all nervous around these folks and just, continue to speak in a certain way, but I'm like, no, because he said this, and now he's saying that, and I don't know, what do you think? This is your house, right? So I think exactly to your point, it's about a confidence, right? And it's not like I'm doing a minstrel show. That's how I would actually talk about it if I were at home, right? But I am being honest and being genuine to my culture and how I was raised. And people appreciate that, I think. And then you have some amazing examples of particular cuisine that people are excited to have. A theater show that brings forward a history that people don't realize. I'm still amazed that people didn't know that San Francisco, as well as everywhere else, was redlined, right? And that there was blockbusting and steering that was carried out by the realtor community, right? So people want to know, you know? So you can share these stories and be true to yourself and also have a benefit from it, right? An economic benefit. So, all right, well, are there specific industries or niches that you believe offer particular promise for Black entrepreneurs?
I'm gonna pass that.
I like the strategy, rather than the big sound analytics.
I really like Thor's concept because it rang really, really true for me to the extreme with COVID and then with George Floyd and just the opening the door of how Black people are really treated and perceived in this country. So much so that my, first it started as my opinion, and then I said, wait a minute, my opinion costs. My time, I'm valuable, so then it turned into a consulting role. But it was so strange that I'm thinking, this was like 2022, and I'm like, you're really just now asking about the Black perspective? And they were just asking about the Black perspective. So I think that stands across every industry. But I will be honest, I was raised in families, both maternally and paternally, that wanted us to not be so Black. So there's just so much cultural learning and unlearning that has to happen. A lot of people were really, pro-Black, and they were taught that at a young age, and it really permeated throughout their lives. But for me and a lot of people that I went to college with, we were told to dumb all that down. You do talk a certain way, you do dress a certain way. And then as it relates to business, everybody else is using our culture and financially benefiting from it. So there's just a lot of different dynamics that really have to be considered. But to answer your question, we are valuable, I think, in every industry.
Well, I think the opportunity I see immediately is, for me anyway, is how to create a more sustainable Black market. In fact, when this was built, the new Southeast, I was just ecstatic. Finally we have something to be just. It looks like the small Academy of Science. It looks like a mini. I told people. There are people who are coming and visiting now, and for me, what I envision is, because again, you have to create a venue that hits every tone, like every ring, beautiful place, nature-like, easy access, sunny, good food, entertainment. Because for years now, for 14 years, we've been doing at the most one thing very well, but then on the 3-4 things, we're doing at the Monroe Plaza, there's no, give me a break, I don't want to serve my food when there's, because I'm very picky about my food. It needs to be nearby plants, clean, that kind of stuff, right? So the opportunity I could see immediately, practical, is how to create a Black market that happens more often, not once in a while, not we have, that doesn't catch the thing. How do we get here weekly, every Friday or Thursday night, a market with a little bit of music, a little bit of art, a little bit of theater, a little bit of different food, street food style. Those are the opportunities we seek for. I'm looking forward. It doesn't cost, it doesn't have to happen.
Excellent, thanks, Iskander. Like Erica, I was around folks in Brooklyn, New York, where I was raised. I was born here, by the way. So I'm a native San Franciscan, but I was raised in New York. Then being Black wasn't about being smart. If you spoke a certain way, you weren't Black. And so there was always that dichotomy. And I've come to learn that's just a classic divide and conquer technique to keep us dumb. Excellence is the blackest thing you could do, is be excellent at what you do. Work your ASS off. That's the blackest thing you could do. If you invest time into something, you know you get good at what you do. That's how you go from good to great. And I'll say another thing. Go to where black people are not. Be the Christopher Columbus of wherever you want to be, because there'll be an opportunity there for you. And don't be afraid of being a token. Just don't stay one. Bring your people along with you somehow when the time is right. But go to where black people are not. You will find a unique advantage there, and you will populate that market, that industry, that place. We did some geography, and then bring folks with you when you can.
Okay, got my thoughts there. You know, I think healthcare is an industry where it's been robust, and certainly we see an aging population, the boomers and so on and so forth, and I know that there's a lot of black folk in healthcare, but I would definitely like to see more of us in tech, because we are in the tech capital right here. And they were talking about when, you know, a lot of businesses were moving out, a lot of tech companies moving out of San Francisco. Well, I don't know, I need some data on this, but they say that a lot of them are coming back. And they're coming back because this is an environment for creativity, for innovation, and they need to be around other people who think like them. And so we need to tap into that market, tech, because I know that, you know, like Thor said, we have all the skill sets and creativity. And there's this big convention called Afrotech, never been to it, but it's a lot of black folks in that convention talking about technology. And I think that's a good opportunity for us.
I love that. There's another organization called Girls Who Code, who do quite a bit, and then also Hidden Genius, where they take young men in the middle school and high school age, and they teach them to code. They bring the parents in and teach us to code as well, and they had to like drag me out of there, and I'm like, no, I'm missing a semicolon, I've almost got it. No, they're like, this is for the kids, ma'am, you know, but really great opportunities like that. So you're absolutely right, tapping into the resources that we have here in the community as far as being a tech hub, which actually leads me to my next question, which is, how do you see black entrepreneurship evolving in the future?
Okay, I'm gonna dive right into this one. I think it's a great time. It's a great time. I like the passion, the inspiration, the growth. So more black, you know, entrepreneurs have just, you know, in the post-COVID economy, even during COVID. So there's definitely a growth there in terms of people starting businesses. I think it can, you know, with the support, I like the venture capital space where black folks are figuring out we have a lot of money that we have to support black businesses. And so I think everything is there, and I think it's a big game changer. It's not going to solve all the issues, but in terms of some of the disparities that we see, in terms of wealth and income, it has a big impact on that. That people who own businesses create wealth at a faster rate than people who work traditional 9 to 5. It's the same with income. So I'm excited about the future of entrepreneurship. Resources are there. You know, we have to grab it while we can, because America seems to want to support, in a way, black businesses. So I'm excited about the opportunities for us ahead.
Can you be clear where those resources are? They are there more so, but we always need them as a person. I see it, again, it was said before, in our unity and appreciating our culture. Like I mentioned before, like it was a taboo almost, but now I think we are just like, you know what, this is who I am, this is who we are, and we can definitely see the opportunity in that. And then also, you know, they say that social media really is leveling the playing field, and it's really closing a lot of gaps, I'll say. And although Eskinder is not engaged in that way, to his testament of not being on social media, he's definitely on the Food Network channel, because I've seen him compete internationally on levels on the Food Network channel. I love Food Network channel, and I see him, and I'm like, oh, that's Iskender.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
You've been on the Food Network?
Yes.
You don't have an Instagram?
Several times. Yes. Yes. So, yeah. So I think it's like,
I started for you. I can't
Yes.
stand the idea of you not having Instagram. Because a lot of people go on those shows and
Yes.
go on Instagram and give themselves a platform. So we're not picking on you, I'm just saying you've already done all the work.
he's
You've already done all
definitely,
the
yes.
work. Yeah.
And so they're finding him anyway, because I think it's like Thor said, it's the excellence, it's the determination. I remember going into Radio Africa years ago, and it was Community Tuesdays.
Yeah.
And it was poetry night, and it was so much fun. And then some of the guys who were, hanging out outside, they started coming in. And I think somebody almost closed the door. And I saw Iskender come from the kitchen like, oh no, this is for the community. That's why I'm here. I chose to be here in the Bayview. And every time he's on the Food Network channel, he says the Bayview. And I'm thinking, Iskender, they don't know the Bayview. But he's making the Bayview known. So it's just sticking to who we are, do what we do, support one another, and I see us going to the next level.
Thank you. I think the next thing would be, like you were saying, Erica, was I think marketing blood culture. How do you now package it, and the same thing we have, right? I mean, we're hard workers, we pay, but someone else makes it. Like you've seen it in the music industry and all that stuff. Now there are a lot of young people who come to my restaurant, or we used to do cooking classes for young kids, and they're ambitious but they don't know. So I think in this case we'll leave Tor and Marcus to sort of get their people's energy channel, train them. So there is a lot of opportunity out there, and it's actually getting brighter and brighter in my opinion. Like from what I see, this is from the conversation I see from young people. You just, those of us older people need to make sure, we're giving them good positive feedback, and then also on the deep down level is getting what does it take to to get to the next level. So that's what I see.
I was telling my 14-year-old daughter, who's in high school, just a couple weeks ago, about my perception of leadership. Leadership is not outside of you. It's not something you go and see or something you experience. It's something you emanate. And so I was emphasizing for her that you be the best you can be. Be a leader in every space that you're at, in every little way and every big way. And we have that responsibility. We're sitting here in the middle of Bayview Hunters Point on a stunning, beautiful day with 17,547 events going on today. Did you guys get that number? And we are here getting good information, having good conversations, learning. This here is leadership. And so we have to be those leaders in every little and big way, everywhere we go. Because people see us, and we don't even know that they're watching us, but they're taking notes and they're learning from us. And then they go off and be better leaders. Before you know it, we've developed a whole community of leaders who are going to take over everything.
Can I say one more thing? I just want to acknowledge just the term in itself, and this is so many times this happens, but we've been hustlers before hustle was popular, right? Like 3 and 4 jobs, side business, and again, I just want to emphasize how much value other people place. They may not give us the credit, but they definitely pay attention. So, like Thor said, it's just from within, uplifting each other and recognizing how valuable our culture is.
It's amazing. I think we're all on the same, harmonizing on the same frequency, because my next question was, what advice would you give to an aspiring Black entrepreneur? Thor said, don't do it.
No,
He's only joking.
that's an easy one. It's a journey. It's a lifestyle, it's a journey. So it's not fast. I mean, as Iskender said that. he has to teach the young folks that when you come in, you're not going to be wealthy tomorrow. And so get comfortable with the process in the journey, because, life happens. Your business gets, taken for a turn if something happens, this way or that way. So get comfortable being in the space, loving what you do, and then everything else will take care of itself.
I use this example when I'm teaching. When you go or you make a decision to go to the grocery store, when you get there, you expect to get groceries. So whatever your business or your industry, people look to you as the expert. And even if you don't know everything, we're still looking to you to be that expert. So staying current on what's going on with your industry is so important. And then I will also say, things that you hear in your younger years that you think may not matter, and I'm probably speaking to my younger self, when someone said, pay your bills on time, pay attention to credit, and those things like that, and it kind of just went over my head. And then later in life, when you want to get a business, and generally you're going to want to use other people's money, which means a loan or later on venture capitalist, but people still want to know where you stand and your investment and your credit score. So just really paying attention to those things at the same time as developing a business.
What would I say for young people? I think there's a few things I want to say to young people. The first thing is about learning continually. Very important to just focus on with, of course, with pleasure, with fun. Just learn. And the second one that immediately comes is take bad criticism as a thank you thing. I think a lot of young people now, they don't like the word, oh, that's not good, The best way to learn is self-reviewing, or when someone says, oh, great, thank you very much. So, but asking what they didn't like, what they like about it, because I think people always love compliments. Only compliments is not going to get you anywhere. If you want to be a good business person, of course you appreciate the compliments. The good compliments are the bad compliments for you, because the bad compliments you learn from it, because that's actually a valuable lesson. So young people need to learn how to have the thick skin. Sometimes you get a crush, that's not good enough, And the other few important stuff is how to listen, positively. Just being pleasant itself that's how you connect. Forget about social media. Connect with people with a smile. Yeah. I'm just joking. Really connecting with people with just humble heart and appreciating that is gonna connect you forever. So those are really important. Working hard, learning more, take criticism, and have a big smile.
That's good advice. Yeah, that's good about criticism, is really, and people who deeply criticize you, you know what they're really showing you? They have a deep capacity for feeling. And they really love you, they just don't know how to express it. And when they're telling you something, you have to be honest with yourself. Is that true? Can I do better? Always use that as an opportunity for some reflection. Because really, again, as we're all ascending the mountain, somebody telling you you're going the wrong way is just telling you what might be the right way. And when you look again to see if it's the right way for you, you can answer that question, and then either they're correct or maybe they don't know what they're talking about. But as long as you do that self-reflection, that's important. They say make no small plans. Just make any plan. Then big or small. But I implore you, make small steps. Any step is good. People sometimes wait for the right moment, there is no right time. I mean, you got to get yourself together, but if you have a continuous improvement process where you're always reflecting on how you can do things better and looking for advice from others, right? Nobody gets up the mountain alone. There are people cheering you on, telling you which way to go, telling you what not to do, sometimes showing you the way not to be. There are people in our lives that we go, oh, I'll never do it like Jane or Joe. Well, remember how Jane or Joe did it. Don't do it that way, right? Those are instructions too. There's lots of instructions out there. Be about your business, please. Learn the legal basics, learn the finance basics, learn the marketing basics. Marcus at Renaissance, and if it's not your thing, at least understand it and get somebody who knows how to be excellent at it. I'm working with so many different people that I ran into trouble. They're in love with what they do. Like Iskender says, I got an invoice that's out there 120 days. He's gotta take care of that business. But if that's not his thing, he's gonna get somebody, right? He's gonna get somebody who is gonna be on it. You don't gotta do everything.
Social media piece as well.
And the marketing, and the social media. Social media is so easy now, you don't have to do a lot. Just post. I forward stuff and, post stuff and just presence is everything. But anyway, get some of the business basics down so you can either know how to be good at those things or get somebody who is.
I just want to say one more thing, Lean Startup. You guys should Google that because I think I like it so much because I've seen a lot of people save to start a business because they're always told, oh, no, you can't do it. And we, of course, as Black folks, we need the capital.
No, can you repeat?
Oh, Lean Startup? Yeah, Lean Startup, it basically is a model or concept or an approach to starting a business. And it started actually in the tech world where you had a lot of venture capitalists investing a lot of money on these new startups. So they would invest millions of dollars on a startup, some sort of tech product that only failed. And so then they wanted to see kind of a proof of concept, which is, let's make sure that you have a viable product before we invest. So what does that mean for us is that don't take $50,000, $100,000 to start your business because we think as entrepreneurs that it is the best thing, but the customer might think otherwise. And so you're also constantly developing your product to a second and third iteration. What does it look like also on the ground level is I get people all the time that food businesses. And so you have a great, you make a great product. I don't want to use barbecue, but I know you make a great barbecue, but why not? The first thing you want to do is open up a restaurant, right? But the restaurant is over in San Francisco, the restaurant, the rent, the employees, the accessibility, the tenant improvements you need to activate that space, you're already starting at a big deficit. You already need a lot of money to start. So why don't you start popping up someplace to build that following through social media? Now you have a following, you can grow into a food truck. And then maybe from a food truck, you can grow into a restaurant. But the main thing is, I think Erica said it, use other people's money because in the end of the day, there is a bad side to this. Is that if you take out a lot of debt and the business doesn't work, it's not like you can say, hey, the business didn't work, so the debt goes away. No, you still have to pay that with a new job.
Well, I'm sold on Renaissance. I don't know about you. My business is already going, but I'm definitely going to see Marcus for the next level. So we are over time here. Unfortunately, I could be here another hour. But I know Dr. people in the audience are like, oh no, you can't. But it looks like you do have some questions, so I'm going to put it to questions. And Dr. Honeycutt, if you want to moderate the questions, I'll run around with the microphone. Or,
Okay.
all right, here I come.
Okay, I believe you had a question. Okay. I really thank you so very much for being here. And I just want to say one thing. Gentlemen on the end, thank you so much. You really roared. I wanted to say that you said something that was really key to me. My son, just like these two ladies, mother-daughter team. I have a son that graduated from Thurgood Marshall High School, and I encouraged him to go back to school because he made all A's, why not? And he works now, and he is in Houston, so I'm taking my business to Houston, Texas. But one thing I really want to say is, he taught me the word entrepreneur, and you mentioned it. And that's when you're working with, you may not have a lot of capital. Yeah, you really don't need a lot of capital, but what you do need is someone to believe in you, and you have a company that you work underneath, so it's kind of like an incubator. So when he told me entrepreneur, I thought he was spelling it wrong. So anyway, that really helped me. And the last thing I really want to say is that, I don't know if it's me or my phone, but I tried that website several times and it did not work for me, the login. But I came anyway, and my sinus was so bad I could barely talk right now. But I had to walk all the way around the building and I was about ready to give up and go home. But then I walked that way and I got off the train. And I said, okay, I'm an ecological person, so I'm going to go all the way back around. So I did that. And I'm really happy that I came. The leadership that we have right now, the mayor's office, plus other African Americans that have stood before me, and I'm much older than they are. They have given me the strength and the courage to keep doing what I'm doing. And they pulled me out of retirement when I wanted to retire. So I still work, and that's the reason why I scale my business down, because I don't like to do just busy stuff. I really need to have something big going on. So I thank you so very much for the opportunity, and I'm really sorry that there's not more people here. And Dr.
On Facebook, so there's a good few people there.
I want to give you my telephone number and email. And if you ever need someone to stand out there with balloons and bring them in here, I will do it.
Thank you.
Any other questions or? Yeah.
And then I'm gonna go for this wonderful woman.
Okay, this is Dedria Smith. Dedria Smith works for APRI. I need to be familiar with that organization in the Bay Area. APRI. And she is also the Business and Employment Subcommittee Chair for our CAC for the shipyard. Dedria, I want her just to say a few things, and then I want her to introduce this wonderful young man. Because, and I want to talk, make sure you meet Mr. Williams over there. But this woman, you can ask her to do just about anything. I'm going to give you an example. You know, I love rolling all through San Francisco, up and down the hills. I'm in the marina, I'm in the trailway, whatever, okay? Because I like to see what's happening, and because I'm a bibliophile, as my daughter will attest to, there are more books up in the house than anything else. Okay, maybe clothes a second, okay? But the whole thing is that, I almost lost my train of thought on this. That I was on West 4th. This man was outside that Walgreens. He was a nice, clean-cut African-American young man. And you know, I couldn't help myself, because when I see what the sign that says you just need a little bit of money, I got to ask you what your situation is. I asked him what was up. He told me that he had to raise a certain amount of money each day. I think he told me $13 a day to be able to live in the place that he was in temporarily now. So I said to him, well, he said he didn't really like the place he was in because he had had things stolen from him and everything, okay? So I said, this is a case for Dedria Smith. And so call him back to make sure that they're still there. This is, I just want you to know Dedria Smith. And Dedria, I want you to tell us who this wonderful young man, look how handsome this child is.
He's diligently been taking notes the whole time, yeah.
Who is this? Tell me about what
Thank you, Dr. Honeycutt. And it was wonderful. As soon as I walked in seeing Dr. Honeycutt, I was just telling her, I remember when I first met her, and she was the dean of Southeast College. And when I seen her, she would walk down that hall so smooth, so confident, and there for the community. And as soon as I met her, quite naturally, she put me to work, which was okay, because we needed to bring some of the young people in, and we were able to start serving also the seniors in the community. So, with that being said, the young man, was great seeing her first, and then seeing David Flynn, sitting here. I had invited him last week, and to see that he is here because he is talking about starting his own business. I say this is the place where you need to be. So to see him here and taking notes, and I like to just share with David, to be sure to talk to Thor, talk to the gentleman from Radio Africa, be sure to talk with Erica, talk with Marcus of Renaissance, you know, because they all have great information. I apologize for being here late, but as Thor or whoever said that we have so many activities going on in the community, APRI had me appointed to the Eco Centers, but I had to be here no matter what. So I'm gonna let David Glenn speak at this time, and if he could share a little bit about himself, and excuse me, my eyes and everything, this allergy that's kicking up. Thank you again, Dr. Honeycutt.
My name is David Flynn. I'm a student at SF State. I've been living with my grandparents and a baby for the past 2 years, and I've just been trying to learn as much as I can about entrepreneurship. I'm trying to host a class next semester for SF State as a student-led class, and I want it to be about learning how to be an entrepreneur and start their own business, from like idea generation to exit strategies and everything in between. And I've just been trying to get as much information as I can to help start that path.
This is a great panel here too, Dr. Honeycutt.
You're wonderful. Okay, now this gentleman here is Mr. Williams, and I met Mr. Williams at Industry Day, which was the Navy event. Okay, right? And what did you say to me?
First, I gave you flowers and commended all your work, and then I said I would like to help continue being a flame in the fire that you created to help our people get ahead and move on.
And you also said that didn't you say something about the contractors too?
Oh yes, most definitely. So I'm a part of a construction company that we're going into the commercial space, and that we want to take advantage of the naval shipyard opportunities and other commercial opportunities here in the city. You know, one of the panelists talked about how like we're missing certain representation in tech. There's nothing we can really do about it publicly, but here in this construction space we can. And so I want to help create an opportunity for that for not just my company, but other African American companies in the city.
Okay, now I said that there were some people that were here today that I wanted you to meet. You had a nice conversation with Commissioner Linda Richardson, didn't you?
Yes.
And she recommended one of the gentlemen on the panel.
Yes.
I'm going to get right up in his face right now. Marcus Tart, I need you to have a conversation with this wonderful young man. Okay? So I want you to meet. And, you know, Marcus has a group of local contractors that he, on a list, if I remember correctly, and that you have brought them up to date in terms of the requirements that they need, that Sammy or whatever that form is, Sam. And, but the question I get from the local contractors after they fill out that form is, what's next? What else do I need to do in terms of being eligible for federal government, whatever, in order to be competitive when a prime contractor comes, you know, opens up an opportunity for local contractors to get that done. So that's something we may need to pursue through Dedria, through one of your meetings, your B&E meeting.
Yes.
That's you and I talked about that when we had lunch yesterday.
Yes.
About, okay, so they've got that in that process, but what else do they need to do so that they can really compete? At that Industry Day event, I met a gentleman who ran Clark Construction. He's a prime, and he is quite good at hiring local contractors. Okay, so there were other prime contractors in that room, but once they get the actual contract, okay, then they go look for local contractors, okay? Marcus Tart is up on that. I need you to talk to him next.
Yes, I will.
Now I'm gonna give you some walking orders. Now, when you finish with Marcus Tart, this I feel like this. Do you see how he's writing this down? I see, you know, I love it. After you finish with Marcus Tart, I want you to make sure that you get a little time with
Thor.
That's it.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes.
Okay, because
I love the way you present yourself. You're a handsome young man. You know what you want to do. You've got a space. You take care of business.
Yes, ma'am.
Good
Thank you.
business. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, now, everyone, I know you have to leave. I want to thank each and every one of you. Thank you, Tia, even though you're not here. Thank you, Tia, for being our moderator. Thank you for presenting this wonderful information. I wanted to I know that we have to go, but I do want to let you know that there are two things that are left. Number one, to make sure that you're all aware that I write books, and it's on the back table there. You can take a look. These books are featured. This is Straight Talk: How to Survive and Thrive as a Young Man of Color. It's the one I just finished. God is All You Need: 10 Important Points for Black Women in America for Your Journey Through Life. The third one I'm working on, halfway through, is Straight Talk: How to Survive and Thrive as a Young Woman of Color. They're spiritual books because I believe that you need God in your life to guide you through everything else. Let me be really clear about that. Okay, so that's that. But that's on the back table. If you're so inclined, fine. Okay, if you aren't, let somebody else know that there is basic, easy to read information on how to live successfully and joyfully in God and through God. Okay, the other thing I'd like to ask you to do before we dismiss out is to fill in this survey. Okay, and none of you have the survey up in the front, so I have copies for you. Please fill this in. This is helpful. This is the last workshop that I have through my City and County of San Francisco contract. Okay? Okay, I'm sorry. And the people I got the grant from was Office of Economic and Workforce Development, otherwise known as OEWD. This is my last workshop. They provided the resources to be able to do these workshops in the community. I wanted you to know that, okay? And I believe it's Larry McClendon and Evan Blank who are the principals behind that, okay? So if you see them in the community, thank them for allowing us to have these workshops, okay? But folks, if you would fill in, does everyone have a survey? If you would fill the survey in for me and return it to Mary. I just want to say this to you. I am so blessed to be here. I am so blessed to be able to have these workshops and to, give you I thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to be here. Okay? Because you could have done something else, but you were here with us today. Thank you very much. Thank you to the wonderful panelists. God bless you all. And have a great rest of your day.